Welcome back to Sports on Tap. I'm your host, James Laney, with my co-host, Kyle Johnson,
Oh, what's going on?
and my co-host, Ryan Fahey.
Ew.
Before we get started, real quick, just a reminder, we are on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, not MySpace, once again. Just on literally everything you can
Not
think of.
MySpace.
We're on it. Share, like, comment, follow. Yeah, nice.
Love
Uh, but, but big news broke tonight. James Harden traded to the Nets. What are you guys thinking?
Oh my
Bro,
god.
I honestly, so my initial reaction, I really think the Rockets did the best what they could with what they have. If I'm the Nets, I understand why they did it because at this point you're going to do anything to try and get Kyrie just to come back to the team. Um, but I don't think it's going to work. I really don't. I think it's going to be fantastic for spurts, a couple of games. They're going to have a good playoff run, but I think egos are going to get involved. I think everything's going to get in the way. I don't know. I just don't think Kyrie Irving and James Harden honestly deserve the money they're making because of the attitudes they have. Um, However, if I'm the Rockets, I am ecstatic because I have picks up the ass. I now just put myself in the position of I'm the Thunder, but with more capital. They don't have to be a lottery pick anymore. They don't have to tank. Like they're going to be competitive. They're not rebuilding basically. They're going to be competitive and they have a ton of assets. So for them, total win. For the Nets, I understand why, but I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah. This is going to blow up. This is gonna
Yeah.
blow up. Like this. I think Kevin Durant is probably going to hate his life.
Probably.
Being completely honest. I mean, now maybe Harden changes his attitude, but it's still that giant cloud over everyone's head, which is Kyrie Irving. How is he going to handle this whole situation? Hopefully,
Sage.
like Sage. Yes, he's
A
gonna be
lot of
like
Sage.
the demons, like just all this,
The night terrors.
just he's gonna. You have like, how do you not play? Like how do you not play when you see this team? And you look at this team. First of all, how are you not playing with Kevin Durant? Like that,
Steve
like
Nash
that's
is
one
begging
thing.
him.
Now you have James Harden. You have KD and James Harden, and there's a chance you're not going to want to play. That's
Even if he
crazy.
doesn't come back, though, even if he doesn't come back, James Harden and Kevin Durant is
I want
still
to
a
see it.
dynamic duo. Like we're gonna see it.
I
So-
wonder if he loses the weight.
So,
He'll lose it.
yeah, so first point I want to hit on is James Harden. He clearly was doing, like we've said before, everything he could to
Everything.
get out of Houston. So I think what he did was just like put on the weight, did whatever he did whatever he could to get out of Houston. So I do think his attitude that way will change. Is he still going to go to the strip club, spend all the money? Well, with pandemic and everything, probably not. But they're going to do.
He is in Brooklyn.
He is in Brooklyn. But like the kind of thing is, I think his attitude is going to change a lot because he clearly didn't want to be in Houston, and now he gets to go play with Kevin Durant and maybe Kyrie. We'll see. I think Kyrie is going to end up staying because when you have that much talent, it's the classic on paper. This team is virtually unstoppable, at least in the East. It's on paper, it's one of those 2K teams where it's like you don't get to use them.
They do lose a lot of depth though, losing Jarrett Allen and Caris LeVert. And don't forget, Caris LeVert has quietly he has progressed incredibly well from his rookie season to I think he's a third year vet right now. So he has continued to grow. He's been a really good player for them. Jarrett Allen was defending a lot of premium centers, like a lot of premium centers.
Don't forget they have DeAndre Jordan down in the paint too there.
Yeah, but he's not. Jarrett Allen
That's
is
why
a much better at this point in time. Jarrett Allen is a better center than DeAndre Jordan.
That's
And-
why
and-
that's why I have so much problem with this trade. Like just
And not to mention the Nets' biggest problem was their defense, and I don't think this was addresses any of their defensive issues.
no, it wasn't.
It's still they addressed
They
their
got-
defense with more offense.
way worse with defense.
I
Way worse with defense, but
Yeah,
the thing
I mean,
the way
they're like the Kansas City Chiefs of the basketball world. Go ahead.
the way they went about it is they kind of did what Golden State did a few years ago, where it's like they just had the starting five so talented where it could make up for the lack of depth. Where now that you have Kyrie, once again, if they're playing on paper, it looks great. You have Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. That is a legit big three. Like debatably one of the best talent alone, debatably one of the best big threes we could see. Kevin Durant's looking like the old form. Kyrie's one of the best point guards out there, and James Harden is debatably one of the best scorers this game's ever seen. So they clearly went a different route. Where last year it's like, wow, look at all the depth we have, and this year they're like, okay, we're gonna go big three super team kind of mode. Where it's like this is what. We're doing. But this is once again on paper looks great in my mind, but when you look at it reality, I think it's going to implode because the egos are going to get in the way. And once again, like we just talked about yesterday, Kyrie alone was a problem, but now you're going to bring in Harden, even though I think his attitude as a whole is going to change because he's now out of Houston and he's going to try to make.
He was still such a problem in Houston. He was brutal in Houston. He basically forced Chris Paul there and out. Same thing with Westbrook. Like, didn't even give Dwight Howard a chance. The egos are way too much. You have the two biggest egos in the league in the same backcourt.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It's the classic on paper looks great, but in reality, that's why so many times I just don't buy. I'm starting to less and less buy into these super teams because most of the time, I mean, perfect example to bring it to football real quick, the Bucks. Even though I think they're a good team, this team looked unstoppable, like on paper kind of thing with all the weapons they have, but off the rip, didn't look too hot kind of thing. Where it's like
they're good, but they have their flaws.
Exactly, and that's what I think everyone forgets when these super teams are built. Where it's like you guys brought up the defense. Okay, you bring everyone's like, oh, you have Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie. They're gonna put up 200 a game. Well, they're gonna let up 180. So it's like,
yeah, like their starting five is gonna be Kyrie, Harden, probably Joe Harris, Durant,
yep,
and then DeAndre Jordan. And that defensively, Kevin Durant's a top tier defender, but outside of Kevin, it's an old DeAndre Jordan. That's really it for defense. Everybody else is maybe a C.
Well, the other thing is, what is up with Brooklyn trading away their future for out of like near the end of their prime players? They did this with the Celtics. They got the bones of Paul Pierce and KG.
They were a lot older though.
I get it.
You're still going to get MVP.
But they traded
caliber.
House. They traded House for James Harden, who's what, 33?
He's got like 3 more years, I think, of prime James Harden.
But age-wise, his prime, he's at the end of it.
They are shooting all in for a championship right now.
I get it.
They traded away the future.
By the time that these guys are done, they're not going to have any picks. They don't have any picks.
They're trading all that.
They're not going to have a center next year. DeAndre Jordan might not be in the league next year. That might be an extreme scenario, but he's old. Jarrett Allen, honestly, just to divert it to Cleveland real quick, I think that's a huge get for Cleveland. I think that kid is going to be a stud. That kid's going to be him and Colin Sexton are going to be a problem.
That fits the timeline a lot better than Andre Drummond does.
But still, I just don't get why they trade away a House for these guys.
I don't get it either. It's clearly like a win now thing. James Harden's 31, by the way, so you have a little more time than you think. With the way players, how long they're lasting nowadays. But I agree. It's clearly a win now thing where it's like you have a 2-3 year window gap where it's like, okay, if you don't win within this time slot, it's over. That's it. This is what you traded for. If you don't come out with at least one championship, this was a failure.
100%. It's championship or bust.
A monumental failure. That's
probably the biggest failure. This will overtake, in my opinion, the Thunder when they had Harden, Durant, and Westbrook, because now these players are fully in their prime. So it's like you don't have it. There's no setbacks anymore. There's no excuses.
Exactly. I kind of want to flip it over to the Houston side real quick. One, with the amount of picks, I'm going to put in the details somewhere, probably in the description of this video, of what actually got traded. But Houston side, the amount of picks they got, and then they traded Caris LeVert for Victor Oladipo. They have made out like absolute bandits in this situation.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how I would feel about the Caris LeVert, Victor Oladipo. I feel like they're very similar players. However, I mean, it's still a win. You didn't lose anything. I don't think you gained much, if anything. But
I also
just age-wise, right? They traded for a more experienced vet.
A little bit, but
Yeah, a
Oladipo is
little
like
bit, but it's still,
26.
The big
right,
thing
versus
but
24.
Right. So I mean, 2 years. That's 2 whole years in the league, though. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
the biggest thing for Houston wise is their chemistry is going to be way better now because they were playing with a guy that didn't want to be there. Even though he was super talented, he didn't want to be there. So now you get him out. Now you can build that chemistry and culture with guys that are there to play and win.
Hey,
I don't
John
think
Wall, Oladipo.
and
It's gonna be something.
don't forget Boogie.
I was gonna say
forget
Boogie's
Boogie.
not
Yeah.
looking too bad. So you put all this together.
Christian Wood. Yeah.
Do I think they're gonna make a real push? Like, are they gonna be contenders this year? I wouldn't say that because you still got the Lakers and Clippers. But
I think they could be a playoff team.
That's gonna be
Oh,
a
I
decent-
think
that's
they'll still be a
decent ball
playoff.
team.
I think
Yeah.
they'll still be a playoff team, but I just don't think they'll make as deep as a push as they have been in the past years because
No.
they're kind of in a rebuild mode now, which there's nothing wrong with that. Because a minor one I want to say, where it's just like this year is kind of like let's figure out who we are. They need to refine themselves now.
Yeah, that makes
Because before they were for the past 8 years or maybe not that many, but it was James Harden. Our offense is James Harden. He's gone now. Okay, now what are we? Who are we? How does our offense run? Who are we running it through? I'm very interested to see how that goes.
Yo,
For the longest
we're about
time,
to see a prime John Wall. We're about to
There's
see
a lot-
a prime John Wall.
he's been looking good.
If like
Yeah.
60% of John Wall's back, that's big for him. This is his first healthy season
This
back,
is-
right?
This
He'll-
is about to
he-
be
he'll-
a huge year for John Wall. I like now that I'm thinking about it, because Victor Oladipo is a great pairing for him. Spreads the floor, good defender. Probably not the $20 million he wanted or might get in Houston. Probably not worth it. However, Christian Wood's the real deal, and DeMarcus Cousins looks like he's actually back from his injury, so he looks like.
Oh
even
yeah,
if he's
when
at worst a top 20 center.
Boogie's getting ejected every
Yeah.
other game, he's back. That's how
Yeah.
you know he's back. That is Boogie for a
They-
fact. Makes
John
me
Wall,
happy to see.
keep an eye on John Wall. That's a
I'm
side
happy
of
to
this I
see
don't
him
think enough
back. Like
people are talking
just
about.
keep John Wall out of his house because that's where he gets hurt. Apparently,
Literally,
like who gets hurt in their house, dog? Like what are we doing?
most accidents happen close to home. Everybody knows
Oh,
this.
whatever.
Crazy. But final take on the Kyrie. Final take on the James Harden trade. Did you like it?
For the Rockets, yes. For the Nets, I understand it.
I'm basically in the same boat, but more no on the net side.
Agreed. No on the net side, except for when I play 2K.
I'm the same.
Yeah, if you use the Nets on 2K,
Oh,
you're
2K is
weak.
a cheeky.
You're
Yeah,
weak.
you're
Weak.
weak. You're a weak person.
Soft dog water.
Hey everyone, James Laney here, founder of Sports on Tap. If you enjoy our content and want to help us grow, there's an easy way you can do that. All you're going to want to do is go on any of our social media accounts, hit this link to our website, then click the Listen Here button, then go over to the Support button. Then you're going to have a few options for how much you'd like to donate a month. Then you're going to fill out your information down below, hit the Support button. Any and all contributions will be appreciated and go directly towards the podcast to help us grow.